The WWE Universe just witnessed something absolutely explosive that nobody saw coming, and trust me when I say this is about to change everything we thought we knew about the Bloodline and the entire landscape of professional wrestling. Roman Reigns has made a move that sent shockwaves through every corner of the wrestling world, and if you thought the Tribal Chief was done making headlines, you were dead wrong, because what just unfolded is bigger than anyone could have imagined. Before we dive into all the jaw-dropping details, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because you definitely don't want to miss any of the insane updates coming your way. Roman Reigns stood in the middle of that ring with an intensity that could cut through steel, and when he opened his mouth to speak you could feel the electricity in the air, because everyone knew something massive was about to happen. The Tribal Chief has been the most dominant force in WWE for years now, and his legacy has been built on the foundation of family blood and an unbreakable bond with those who stand beside him in the Bloodline. But lately things have been different, and the cracks in the foundation started showing when internal conflicts began tearing apart what was once an unstoppable unit. The question on everyone's mind was simple yet complicated at the same time, and that question was who would step up to carry the torch when the time came for someone new to rise within the family structure. The answer came in a way that left the entire arena speechless, and social media absolutely exploded with reactions from fans who couldn't believe what they were witnessing. Roman Reigns didn't just announce a new member of the Bloodline or give someone a generic endorsement that would fade into obscurity within a few weeks. He did something far more significant and powerful by officially declaring a new tribal heir, someone who would eventually carry on the legacy that he has built with blood, sweat and tears over these past few years. The chosen one wasn't someone random pulled from the Performance Center or a surprise returning legend making a comeback for one last run. This was a calculated strategic move that demonstrated Roman's long-term vision for the Bloodline and the future of his family's dominance in professional wrestling. The reveal happened after weeks of speculation and rumors running wild through the wrestling community, with everyone from hardcore fans to industry insiders trying to predict who would receive this ultimate honor. Some people thought it would be Jimmy USO stepping into a more prominent leadership role, while others believed GUSO had earned the right through his recent performances and the emotional journey he's been on. There were even whispers about Solo Sikoa being groomed for this exact moment, considering how he's been presented as the enforcer and the muscle of the operation. But Roman Reigns operates on a different level than what most people expect, and his decision proved once again why he's called the head of the table and the Tribal Chief, because he sees things that others don't and plans moves that are several steps ahead of everyone else. The moment of the announcement was pure theater, and Roman commanded every single second of attention from the audience in attendance and the millions watching around the world. He spoke about legacy and responsibility and what it truly means to be part of something greater than yourself, and when he finally revealed the name of the new tribal heir, the reaction was absolutely deafening. This wasn't just about passing a torch or giving someone a fancy title to add to their resume. This was about ensuring that everything Roman has built will continue to thrive and dominate long after he decides to step back from the spotlight. The new heir now carries the weight of expectations and the responsibility of upholding the standards that have made the Bloodline the most talked about faction in modern wrestling history. Now let's shift gears to another situation that's been getting uglier by the minute, and that's the real fight involving Liv Morgan that has spiraled completely out of control. What started as your typical wrestling rivalry with promos and matches scheduled on the card has transformed into something far more personal and far more intense than anyone anticipated. Liv Morgan has never been someone to back down from confrontation, and her fighting spirit has earned her respect from fans and fellow wrestlers alike. But this particular situation has crossed lines that usually stay intact even in the world of professional wrestling, where drama and conflict are part of the daily routine. The ugliness of this fight stems from deep-rooted issues that go beyond championship belts and spots on the card. Personal attacks have been thrown back and forth, with neither side willing to show any sign of weakness or willingness to de-escalate the situation. Liv Morgan found herself in the middle of something that involved betrayal and broken trust, and when those elements get mixed into a professional wrestling storyline, things tend to get messy fast. The backstage atmosphere reportedly became tense as this conflict began affecting other people and creating an environment where everyone had to choose sides whether they wanted to be involved or not. What makes this fight particularly ugly is how real everything feels, and the lines between what's scripted for television and what's genuinely happening behind the scenes have become blurred to the point where even the most knowledgeable fans aren't completely sure what's real anymore. Liv Morgan has been throwing shots that land with the kind of venom that only comes from genuine frustration and anger. Her opponent in this mess hasn't been holding back either, and the war of words has escalated into physical confrontations that went beyond what was planned for television segments. Production meetings were held to address how to handle this situation, because when things get this heated, there's always a concern about someone getting legitimately hurt or the situation spiraling so far out of control that it becomes impossible to manage. The latest incident took things to another level entirely when what was supposed to be a standard confrontation turned into an all-out brawl that required multiple people to separate those involved. Liv Morgan was right in the thick of it, refusing to back down even when security and other wrestlers rushed in to restore order. The footage from this incident spread like wildfire across social media, with clips being shared thousands of times within hours and everyone weighing in with their opinions about who was right and who was wrong. The company now faces the challenge of turning this very real ugly situation into something that can be channeled productively for television, while also making sure that nobody crosses the line into territory that could have serious consequences. Speaking of shocking developments, let's talk about the Wyatt Sicks, because what just happened with this group has left everyone scrambling to figure out what comes next. The Wyatt Sicks have been shrouded in mystery since their formation, and the creative direction surrounding them has been deliberately cryptic and unsettling. Bray Wyatt's legacy looms large over everything connected to this faction, and the responsibility of carrying forward his unique brand of psychological horror wrestling falls on the shoulders of those who were closest to him and understood his vision. The reveal that just took place wasn't just a standard wrestling angle where someone turns heel or a new member joins the group. This was something far more significant that connects directly to the core mythology that Bray Wyatt spent years building. The shock reveal involved elements that nobody predicted, and the execution was handled in a way that paid respect to Bray's creative genius while also pushing the narrative forward into new territory. Members of the Wyatt Sicks appeared in a segment that started normally enough but quickly descended into the kind of unsettling surreal atmosphere that made Bray Wyatt's work so distinctive and impactful. The reveal itself came through a combination of visual storytelling, cryptic messages, and character work that required the audience to pay close attention to every detail, because nothing was accidental and everything had meaning. What made this reveal particularly shocking was how it connected past storylines and character history in ways that only the most dedicated fans would immediately recognize. References were made to events that happened years ago, and characters who seemed forgotten suddenly became relevant again as pieces of a much larger puzzle. The Wyatt Sicks aren't just continuing what Bray started, but they're expanding upon it and taking his concepts into directions that feel fresh while still honoring the foundation he laid. The creative team behind this clearly understands that Bray Wyatt's legacy demands respect, and anything done with these characters needs to meet the high standards he set during his career. The aftermath of this reveal has generated intense discussion among fans who are dissecting every frame of the segment, looking for hidden meanings and clues about what comes next. The Wyatt Sicks have positioned themselves as a force that operates outside the normal rules of wrestling storytelling, and their presence brings an element of unpredictability that keeps everyone guessing. Other wrestlers in the company now have to figure out how to respond to this group and whether getting involved with them is worth the risk of being pulled into their twisted world. The reveal also opened up possibilities for future storylines that could involve multiple members of the roster and create long-term angles that unfold over months rather than being resolved quickly. Looking at all three of these major stories together paints a picture of a wrestling landscape that's more unpredictable and exciting than it's been in a long time. Roman Reigns establishing a Tribal Heir ensures that the Bloodline story will continue to be a central focus, with new dynamics and power struggles emerging as the chosen heir begins to assert themselves. Liv Morgan's escalating conflict demonstrates that real emotions and genuine tension can create the most compelling television when channeled properly, even if things get ugly along the way. The Wyatt Sicks reveal proves that creative risks and complex storytelling still have a place in modern wrestling when executed by people who understand the assignment and respect the legacy they're building upon. The Tribal Heir announcement by Roman Reigns specifically carries implications that will be felt across the entire company, because this isn't just about one person receiving an honor. This Affix Championship pictures future match possibilities and the political landscape backstage, where alliances and rivalries are constantly shifting. The new heir will be expected to perform at a main event level immediately, and there's no grace period for adjustment or learning on the job. Roman Reigns has set the bar impossibly high with his championship reign and his dominance over the past few years, so whoever steps into this role must be ready to deliver performances that justify the faith Roman has placed in them. The pressure is immense, but so is the opportunity to cement their legacy alongside one of the greatest to ever do it. Liv Morgan's situation continues to develop with each passing day, and the ugliness shows no signs of cooling down anytime soon. The personal nature of this fight has created a level of investment from fans who are genuinely curious about how this resolves and whether both parties can move forward professionally after everything that's been said and done. Wrestling works best when the audience believes that what they're seeing matters, and this conflict has achieved that goal, even if the path to get there has been messy and uncomfortable at times. The challenge now is finding a resolution that feels satisfying while also being realistic about the fact that some bridges might be burned beyond repair. The Wyatt Sicks represent something completely different from traditional wrestling factions, and their reveal opened doors to storytelling possibilities that break the usual formulas and expectations. The supernatural elements mixed with psychological horror create a unique atmosphere that stands out on a wrestling show typically dominated by straightforward athletic competition and standard rivalry storylines. Maintaining the mystique while also advancing coherent narratives will be the ongoing challenge, but if handled correctly, this could become one of the most talked about and remembered angles in recent memory. The reveal proved that the creative vision behind this group is strong, and the execution has been handled with care and attention to detail that honors Bray Wyatt's legacy while creating something that can stand on its own. These three massive stories all happening simultaneously create an environment where anything feels possible, and the wrestling world is buzzing with speculation about what happens next in each situation. Roman Reigns has once again demonstrated why he's the top guy by making a move that generates conversation and keeps the Bloodline relevant even as the landscape around them changes. Liv Morgan showed she won't be pushed around or disrespected, and her willingness to fight back even when things get ugly has earned her a different kind of respect from those watching. The Wyatt Sicks proved that Bray Wyatt's creative influence continues to shape wrestling even after his tragic passing, and the people carrying his torch forward understand the responsibility that comes with that honor. The coming weeks and months will reveal how these stories develop and whether they live up to the massive potential established by these recent shocking moments. Championship matches will be affected by the Tribal Heir announcement as new challengers emerge and existing rivalries take on different dimensions. Liv Morgan's fight will need some kind of resolution, whether that comes through a definitive match or a backstage confrontation that settles things once and for all. The Wyatt Sicks will continue their mysterious journey, pulling more people into their world and expanding their influence throughout the roster. Wrestling thrives on moments that make people stop and pay attention, and these three situations have absolutely delivered on that front. The Tribal Heir reveal gave us a glimpse into the future of the Bloodline and raised questions about how power dynamics will shift within the family. Liv Morgan's ugly fight reminded everyone that real emotions and personal conflicts create the most compelling drama when they spill over into the wrestling ring. The Wyatt Sicks shock reveal demonstrated that creative storytelling and respect for legacy can produce something truly special that stands out from everything else happening in the industry. If you've made it this far, you clearly care about these stories as much as we do, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you never miss an update on any of these developing situations, because things are moving fast and new information is breaking constantly. The wrestling world never stops evolving, and staying on top of everything requires dedication and access to reliable sources who break down what's happening and why it matters. Hit that subscribe button right now and join the community of fans who are just as passionate about this incredible industry as you are, because together we'll continue following every twist and turn as these amazing stories unfold before our eyes.